What's going on out there, world of esports? Welcome once again to BossFightTV's The Reload. This is episode number 24, if you're counting. We're going to be covering the week of May 8th through the 14th. And normally we go, oh, hey, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, but it's kind of hard to find some stuff this week, man.
This was an old school week, actually.
It was. There was a lot. I mean, you always have your Starcraft. There's always Starcraft going on. But there are a lot of throwback. There's some Wolfenstein event that happened. Street Fighter Super Turbo. Got all sorts of craziness going on. So, as always, we'd like to start off the episode thanking our sponsors, iHeart Esports. Check them out at iHeart Esports on Twitter or iHeartEsports.com. They make awesome, crazy, cool, super happy, fun stickers. So go check them out. And also, you might have noticed there's a new intro song this week, which was done by a good friend of mine, Max Pearson, whom I met working at MLG. He kind of does music independently, so go check him out. It's soundcloud.com/Max Pearson. I'll throw it up on the bottom of the screen there. It'll also be in the links. So thank you to him for letting us use some of his music. You might have already heard it on some of our interviews from Season's Beatings. So awesome stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to jump right into the StarCraft 2 news. The very first thing we have to talk about is the MLG invite-only qualifiers happened this weekend, which players from the United States, or should I say North America, Korea, and Europe faced off to see who got a chance to go to the MLG Spring Arena number 2.
Two of two.
So let's go ahead and take a look at the players who qualified. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start number 1 with Korea. The players who made it are Slayers Alicia. We have MMA, Symbol, Oz, Polt, Lucira, Anori, Rung, Leenock, and Dream. And then we're going to go ahead and move to the North American side of things. We have Mook, which is actually a fairly well unknown player. So congratulations to him for sure. He's going to get a trip out to the Spring Arena. So, that's the one cool thing about MLG is, seeing players kind of come out of nowhere and be able to do well. So we have Mook. Then we have Select, Violet, Killer, Rain, Idra, Artist, and Sleep. So the rest of that field is pretty well known. Mm-hmm. You've seen those names before for sure. And then we'll take a look at Europe. We have Sake, Goody, Stefano, Frere, Bly, Ciplo, Tafil, Grubby, and Rhett. And then finally, just reminding you guys, these guys didn't play this weekend, but these are the other people who had already qualified through other means. We have MC, which actually is taking Marine King Prime's spot because he could not make it. And then we have Hart, Donragu, and Ganzi. Those are all the people from the first Spring Arena who got to play, or who are going to be playing in the second one. And then also we have Thorzane, which won the DreamHack Summer event. So he's also going to be at the MLG Spring Arena, which happens this weekend in New York City. So make sure you go check that out. It should be a fun, awesome, super happy, cool time. But as for MLG, actual tournament news, done. But there's also a special announcement. MLG and Kespa actually got together and made an announcement this past week about a new partnership. And if you guys remember with the GSL and MLG partnership, kind of how they kind of traded players back and forth. MLG players went to go play at GSL, and GSL players got to come over to MLG. It's pretty much currently the same thing. Although Sundance and Adam Apicella have kind of come out and said, we're going to be trying to kind of develop this relationship into something, more deep, to where they kind of make decisions together to kind of better their position within the esports world. This is actually really crazy news coming right on the heels of the esports conference, where a lot of the esports leagues over in Korea kind of got together for a meeting. So it should be pretty interesting. Indeed.
Wild times.
It's going to be crazy. All right, so that wraps up the news for MLG at least. But we also have the good old-fashioned GSL tournament going on. We have Code S and Code A. Code S is pretty much almost done. They're to the round of 4 right now. And I have to give big props to my man Squirtle. He is on the run of a lifetime right now. Okay, so looking at the results right now, we have Squirtle 3-0ing Hero and then MVP 3-1 over Parting. So that means they're going to be going into the finals. And if Squirtle wins, I wish I wrote down, but he's on a really, really long win streak. I think that this entire season he hasn't dropped a single game against another Protoss player. Like, oh my gosh, like it's down. It's crazy. I have goosebumps, man. So good job to Squirtle. Amazing stuff. That game will actually be played on May 19th. So make sure you check out GomTV.net for the broadcast time and official announcement on when that's going to be broadcasted. Because as always, you have to watch it way early in the morning if you're here in the United States, unless you have a pass, and then you can watch whenever you want. So go buy a pass or, be nerd baller farmers, as Artosis calls us.
No sleep.
No sleep
at all.
Dude, sleep is for when you're weak. For sure. Woo! Almost getting there. So we also have the infamous Code A. They are still in the round of 32. So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. You'll see them on the screen there. And I actually had to put them in 2 columns. There's a lot. I think there's 2 more matches maybe in the round of 32, and then we'll be to the next round. So hopefully they'll be a lot shorter next time. So we have Don Regu 2-1 over Ace, Jock G 2-1 over JYP, Gumio 2-0 over Vines, Bomber winning against Zinio 2-0. Then we have Yu-Gi-Oh 2-0 over Lure, Ghost King 2-0 over Tree. Then we have Creator 2-1 over Puzzle, Mr. Happy 2-0 over Rung, Keen 2-0 over Nesty, a lot of 2-0s. MMA 2-0 over Line, and then the last 2 we have Gonzi 2-1 over Polt, and finally Finn 2-0 over Killer. Woo!
A lot of 2s, lots of 0s.
All right, so another tournament that we've been following pretty religiously is the North American Star League, NASL. They're in their season number 3. As always, there are 5 divisions that we have to go through again, so this is going to be a long list of craziness. So let's take a look at the results. We're going to jump right into them. We have division number 1, Huang Sin 2-1 over Night End. TT1 beat Zinio 2-1. We have Cloud beating Brat OK 2-0, and Puma also beating Hey Pro 2-0. Then division number 2, we have DeMuslim 2-0 over Crazy Moving, Rung 2-1 over Hasu Obs. Then we have Dark Force 2-1 over Show, and then Hero 2-0ing Noni. Division number 3, we have, which if you notice, division number 3, I like to make the graphic for this one because they all have short names, so they're not huge. Vibe 2-1 over Rain, Gonzi 2 over Axslav, Straylock winning over Mana, and then Huck also winning over Sin. Those are those walkover whatever wins. I don't know what's going on with those. Then we have division number 4, Select 2-0 over Alive, Alicia 2-1 over Cats, Lowly 2-1 over Cruncher, and no results posted for Idra and Thorazane, which, I mean, I will get to that news at the end. Okay. There's some miscellaneous news with Mr. Thorazane. Then we have division number 5, Puzzle winning over MC, Sheth 2-1 over Polt, Targa 2-0 over White Raw, and finally, last but not least, we have Moro 2-0 over QXC. Almost done. One more thing. One more. What's the other thing we always talk about, Mike, at the end of StarCraft?
The
EG Masters Cup.
Yeah.
All right. So we have the EG Masters Cup, as always, which they're down a team with Vile, which we talked about last week with, how they dropped out, of the tournament, and they've kind of went over to Quantic. So technically,
this is a sticky mess.
Woo! It's all crazy. Everyone's moving everywhere. So let's take a look at the results there. We are in week number 8. Team Liquid taking out the win 3-2 over Team Alternate. Fnatic beating Dignitas 3-1. Can't talk today.
There's a lot of StarCraft news. You got it.
Evil Geniuses 3-1 over Team Empire. Slayers 3-2 over Complexity. And Mouse Sports 3-1 over its Gosu. Boom. Done with StarCraft news. That's it. That was actually more than I thought it was. Like, when I wrote all this stuff down and was following everything, I'm like, man, there wasn't a lot going on this week in StarCraft, but
it's always
saying it,
StarCraft,
like speaking it all out and talking, like, that took forever, man. I'm sorry, guys. I hope you like the sound of my voice. Oh, man. So, talking about going back in black with Counter-Strike 1.6, going back in the day, Mike,
yes.
We had the 3rd generation Intel Core Challenge. So why don't you tell us about that, good sir?
Right. That was the event this last weekend, which Intel, to help celebrate the release of their 3rd generation processors, actually invited out 8 of the, well, technically it was 4 of the top Counter-Strike 1.6 teams, and the other 4 were actually given their spots through invitational tournaments. They played online, earned their spots. That was good. But the biggest piece of news was that this was a $10,000 tournament, winner takes all. Crazy, on the line, roadhouse, beat you up and take your money. But overall, that was, of course, fantastic to see Counter-Strike 1.6, especially high caliber. Let's get right into the results. First place, we have SK Gaming. Second place, we have Fnatic. And third, surprisingly, kind of a favorite coming in, ESC Gaming.
Or
ECS. Yes, Gaming. But that, like I said, Counter-Strike 1.6, you can go back and watch those VODs if you like Counter-Strike 1.6. It's very good stuff.
I like Counter-Strike 1.6.
But there was actually another large-scale PC first-person shooter tournament that happened this weekend.
Having to be a pretty new game coming out.
And that was the Cyber Sports Network Tribes Ascend Launch Cup, which actually had been taking a little place before this, but they actually got down to the final places and actually played it out live, online, in front of thousands of viewers. And this was actually an international fair, too. So there were actual teams from international. There were actually a lot of viewers, too, that were from all the different countries, respectively, coming out to see a lot of new people, new to Tribes, but then a lot of also the old school Tribes 2
a lot of people
companions out there.
All the way around.
A lot of people all the way around.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Fiststicks, who you might actually know from Twitch TV, was casting. He used to play Tribes back in the day. So very cool to see that. And they actually had Hi-Rez Brent, who is one of the eSports coordinators there to help Tribes Ascend become an essential eSports title. Actually cast it as well, so that was awesome to see.
Very cool.
Well, let's get right into the results. So first place, we had Dead Stop. Second place, we have Team Legion. And in third place, we have Tau of Tribes.
Tau of Tribes.
Nice. So, as we mentioned, this was actually the launch cup for the official release for Tribes Ascend. But, as always, as we've said before, this is a free-to-play game. You go to Tribes, what is it, like Tribes.com? I can't even remember.
If you go to Hi-Res Studios,
yes.
I think it's high-resstudios.com or something like that.
Right.
If you search it, you'll find it.
Game is free to play. It's a very, very fast-paced first-person shooter if you have not played it or never seen it before. But then also, as we've mentioned before, Nassel will actually have the title during their championships and across their seasons.
Indeed.
So be on the lookout for that. But it's also presented the first time. This was 7-on-7, so 7-man teams playing. So you get a good feel of how it's going to play out going into Nassel. There may be a couple rule changes, but that was cool to see.
Good stuff.
Tribes Ascend. Get on it. First-person shooters. All right. Going into the,
talk about old school
news.
Oh my gosh.
I think that should actually be the code.
I was just going to say, like, what were you going to say?
Hashtag old school or hashtag.
I was going to be like, I don't know. I had it in my mind, but you made me forget.
Well, how about I'll finish this.
It was going to be like hashtag FPS old school.
FTW. Old school FPS.
No, old school FPS.
Yes.
FTW or just old school FPS?
Just as old school FPS.
All right.
Do it.
Hashtag old school FPS. If you want to win some stickers from iHeart Esports, follow us at BossFightTV and follow at iHeart Esports. Hashtag old school FPS. We'll send you some stickers. Good times had by all. Stick them on your computer. Stick them on your brother. Stick them on your cat. Stick them on your car. I don't care. Stick them wherever you want.
Show your support.
For real. Anyways.
But talk about Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
Woo!
One of the quintessential team FPS games from the yesteryears of esports. Razer held their online tournament. So this is the Razer Battle for Berlin. So this was actually held in European. This was an online tournament, so a good thing to see. Actually, a lot of returning teams, a lot of returning players, and favorites for the crowds to watch. Let's get right to the results for that. First place, we have Nexus. Or wait, I pronounced that wrong, didn't I? Yes. No, Nexus Esports.
Esports.
I didn't leave a space on my notes. That's my bad. And Nexus
It's all one word,
Esports.
man.
Second place, we have Queens. And in third place, we have Finlandic 6. So that was actually hosted by Crossfire.nu. So if you want to check out VODs, some really good matches. And if you've never seen the game you've played before, it's amazing. Another free-to-play game.
Like a boss.
So you can get on there and shoot people. That's very good stuff.
In the face.
Right.
Or the butt. Or the arm. Or the chest.
Yes, that's very good. All right. Last but not least, we go into fighting game news as always. The Combat Network held their On the Edge 2 event. So they actually, they had Ultimate Marvel, I always said Ultimate Marvel. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat 2, all the Mortal Kombat series. But the big news was Mortal Kombat 9. And this was actually East Coast Throwdown 4, which is coming up, held this as a qualifier event. Mm. So kind of like the Road to EVO, because the event is so soon. Top players from the Mortal Kombat 9 tournament got seeding points going into East Coast Throwdown 4. It's very good to see. But actually, the bigger news, it was the talent pool. This was held in New York. So let's go into the results. You may see what I'm talking about. Right. First place, we have VVV Rio. Second place, we have Maxter. And in third place, we have VVV CD Jr., who...
Yeah, no stranger here.
Yeah, who took MLG Columbus first place. He took the Fighting Game Arena first place. And this time it was actually Rio's turn. But high caliber Mortal Kombat, as always. Shout out to Mortal Kombat Network, 995 Phil, and Tom Brady, who was actually there shoutcasting. That was
great tournament, great experience.
Great tournament, great experience. Another interesting piece of Mortal Kombat news is that Warner Brothers, along with NetherRealm, who actually makes Mortal Kombat 9, will be throwing a $1,000 pot bonus into the remainder of the EVO qualifier events.
Very cool.
This is the Ultimate Fighting Game Tournament. You have GT8, which is coming up not this weekend, but next weekend in Chicago. You have COE 2012. And last but not least, as I mentioned, the East Coast Throwdown number 4. So $1,000 pot bonus to each of those tournaments. So be on the lookout for Mortal Kombat 9. This is the year, baby.
Which also, it literally, like right before I came, I saw on Twitter that some sponsors kicked in and some extra money into the Mortal Kombat competition for the Spring Championships in Anaheim. And the pot's back up to like $26,700 or something like that now. So... Sorry, I literally saw it on my phone like when I got here, so I don't have the official number, but it's in the $26,000 range.
Wow.
So Mortal Kombat, man, it's coming back.
Pick up. You know who I used to play?
Who?
Sector. I might pick him back up. Try and get out there to Anaheim.
I never really played it that much.
You know what? Speaking, it's funny because we're speaking about it. I was actually just reminded. I reminded myself in my head. East Coast Throwdown 4 is actually happening in New Jersey. Will be the same date. Is actually going on the same time as the MLG
Which is
Anaheim.
Interesting because you know that Rio and CD Jr. are probably going to be at Anaheim.
All the top players are
going
to make it out that way. But here's another instance where MLG is holding their event on the same dates as another premier fighting game event. Yeah, on the other coast of the United States. So,
I mean, to be fair though, I mean, you know, they're kind of doing their own thing, and you know, a lot of the EVO and like bigger tournaments, like they've been planned out for months. So now hopefully if MLG sticks with, you know, the fighting games going into the next season, hopefully they'll make it well aware ahead of time that, hey, we're going to have these fighting game tournaments on these events. Even though MLG is not really known for, you know, releasing their tournament information out in a timely fashion. So hopefully going forward, they will continue. They will start, should I say, not continue. They shall start doing that.
Yes.
To stay off of the heels of other fighting game tournaments. So,
Anyway, for the last bit of tournament news, we once again pull out from the old school bag of eSports, talking about some of that Super Turbo. Street Fighter 2 Super Turbo. Now, you may ask yourself, why is this news? I
don't know.
Why is Super Turbo in the headlines? Well, it had been announced previously, and there's been a couple qualifying events for it. At EVO 2012, they're having what is now dubbed the Tournament of Legends, a 16-man winner-take-all. I'm just saying winner-take-all. I don't think it's actually winner-take-all, but it's because it's all of these Street Fighter 2 Super Turbo previous champions, all of the actual premier partners actually still playing Super Turbo will be there. There are some qualifying events as well, and it's going to be crazy. I mean, because there's actually Super Turbo Revival, I think .com is the actual name of the website. They have always been running tournaments, and the game is still hype, especially this year. You know why?
Why is that?
The 25th anniversary of the Street Fighter franchise.
Yes, indeed.
So, very good stuff. We actually had Arturo Sanchez, along with Karopi, ran their GTP online tournament. For the spring season, this is actually the first of 4. So let's get into the results for that. First place, we have the Mexecutioner.
Love that name.
Second place, we have Real Decoy. And third place, we have Mad Zero. So Mexecutioner has taken one of those spots. But there are also going to be qualifying events or online GTPO tournaments this weekend on May 19th, and as well as 2 on the 26th. So 2 more chances to get hype over some Super Turbo before EVO. So very good stuff all around.
All the way around.
As I like to say. If you're not aware, GTPO is actually an online service. You can download it and actually play some of these older arcade games online. So For free.
Do it.
So, craziness. But
and you can play Windjammers.
Yes. Oh, you can play Windjammers. So good. We may have to organize an online Windjammers tournament. That's good stuff. Indeed. But as far as tournament news, that is it. We do have a long list of miscellaneous news, so I will let Josh go first.
Just all over the place here. First off, we have the crazy news that I was actually surprised of. Blizzard has actually come to terms and dropped the lawsuit against Valve for the Dota name. So Blizzard is no longer going to be calling their Dota. They're going to be calling it Blizzard All-Stars, which is kind of stupid sounding to me. But
it's all good.
Whatever. I don't like Dota, or I'm sure at Blizzard All-Stars I'm probably not going to like that either. So I don't know. I'll watch it. But I'm a League of Legends guy. Anyways, done with that part.
Right.
Next, we have speaking of Dota, we have the International Dota 2012 tournament. It's been announced, the dates and the location. It's going to be taking place August 31st through September 2nd, and it's going to be in Seattle, Washington. But here's the catch with that. That actually falls on the date of PAX Prime. So I don't necessarily think that they're going to lose a lot of people, that would have been going, but I don't know. It's still kind of like all these events, running on top of each other. So, oh well with that. And then, like I said earlier, like I kind of hinted at earlier, you should know this by now, but Team Evil Geniuses picked up Thorzane, which is quite the acquisition, might I say. And in the tradition of making announcements, the announcement video was actually really funny. So if you haven't seen that, go look it up. It's really funny because it just has In Control walking through the EG house talking about how they're not going to announce anything, and they have pictures of Thorzane like around the house. Like it's funny. But that's all I have for my miscellaneous news. I know Mike has about 3 or 4 other things, and then cut you loose.
One of the things that we've been seeing at a lot of events more recently is actually the uprise of Gears of War as a competitive esports title. One of the websites that was at the forefront of that was GOW Nation, Gears of War Nation, .com. But unfortunately, there's been a bit of a debacle, and that website will be going down. Which is funny because there's actually a large online tournament that's supposed to be happening for Gears of War. So all the stuff that was posted about it in the forums has been kicked over to the Epic forums. So you can check out there for all the updates and teams that are signed up and everything like that. But Diehards, who's actually one of the premier members on there, helped run it for a while, actually has a blog up, which I'll have an article out and read on that, basically talking about why this is happening. But it's kind of sad news, especially with esports and the need for some more shooting titles. So that's what's going on with that there. Second piece of news, talking about some first-person shooter action. BigTeamBattle.net, if you're unaware, is actually a Halo website. Josh, you actually have been a proponent of theirs for a long time.
Shout out to Sangmao, like all the people with the Good Game Network, like Master Theory is really big on there. OCR, Outcast Reborn. So they've been, people who I've been playing with for quite a while. So shout out to them. But they do tournaments and all sorts of stuff. So I don't know. what else you wanted to say?
Well, I wanted to speak with your experience. But primarily, I think there's just kind of some buzz and there's some talk about actual like an online Halo tournament,
Right.
Which is definitely what the community needs right now. Call of Duty has actually the Viking tournament series, which happens like Monday, Tuesday, and Sunday. Which is very cool. It's a one-day cup. You can get on, you can play. It's an all-day tournament. But going forward, look for BTB Net
Right.
to host. Possibly
Well, they do like I want to say it's not really a tournament. It's more like a league.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll have like season 1. They're looking to start season 2, but moving forward, I'm sure. I know they have talked to some MLG players,
Right.
And they kind of got involved recently, did some show matches and stuff like that. So I would definitely say on the horizon, probably see some more activity from them for sure.
Good stuff.
Indeed.
Also on the horizon, we kind of mentioned MLG Anaheim coming up
Right.
here. But one of the other things we actually posted on the website, League of Legends is on the circuit for the rest of the series 2012, so it will be at Anaheim. Marn, who if you're unfamiliar with, is actually a large member in the fighting game community, actually sent out this tweet to at DJ Wheat and at Sundance. What's the deal with the League of Legends tournament in Anaheim? How does Marn sign up?
There's actually a lot of fighting game people who play League of Legends, and I think it would be hilarious.
I think Marn is
if
trying
they all
to
got
form
together.
a team. Yes, I think that's exactly. I think there was.
But unfortunately, that's going to distract them from practicing. They're either going to have to do, bad in one and good in the other, or mediocre at both, because you got to keep your skills up. And that's actually the funny thing. We had, mentioning Twitter, Mike Ross and Justin Wong were poking back and forth to each other about Diablo 3 coming out. And they were like, yeah, all these fighting games player playing Diablo 3, we're going to kick their ass. Yeah, you have GT8 and all these other tournaments coming up. So
It's funny because I think actually Mike Ross had said one time too, he's like, as soon as Dota 2 is out, I'm done with fighting games. He's like, I'm picking up a team and I'm playing. Yeah.
I didn't think I read that. That's
But
crazy.
anyway, this is actually really cool news because there hasn't really been a time before where there were teams or players that actually switched titles.
Right.
If you play first-person shooter games, that's normally what you play. Or if you play fighting games, that's normally what you play. There really hasn't been an influx of cross-platform.
One time, there was a Halo Reach player who played in the Mortal Kombat, but it was a side tournament
Right.
at MLG. But it was funny. I can't remember. I want to say it was Snakebite. I'm probably really wrong. Plays for Dynasty. I think he. I don't think it was him. But anyways, so the guy would run over to the stage.
Yeah.
He would play Mortal Kombat, and they're
Run
calling
back
him on the
over.
intercom, and he's running back across to the next stage. It was funny. It was really funny. But anyways,
That's cool.
That's about
I thought
it.
that was cool.
Yeah.
Last but not least, I'm a big fan of Quake. We couldn't end the old school episode without bringing up Quake.
Quake news.
And one of the biggest tournaments coming up this year, DreamHack Summer 2012. It has been released on ES Reality that there is actually a list of guaranteed players who will be there. So I will just real quick run down. We have DKT, Dehang, and Rafa, who are all from USA. As well as Sparty, Strengths, Pavel, Kilzen, and the one and only Cooler. So
Very nice.
if you're not a fan of Quake Live, by summertime, between that and QuakeCon, get ready for an influx of Quake
Should
news.
be awesome.
Great
There's actually a
tournaments.
montage on the front page of the site, a Quake montage. Pixel something. I can't
Pixel
remember.
Dump?
I don't remember what Pixel.
I've probably
Is
seen
it Pixel Dump? It's pretty cool.
yeah.
It just,
Right.
it just came out. It's brand new.
I've probably
Brand new
seen it.
montage. I don't know. I don't know.
Does it have 8-bit music in it?
Yeah,
Does it
it's
have
Anamanaguchi.
Oh, seen it. It's good though.
Oh man,
It's good. That's all I have for this week.
That's all I got. So we're
Okay.
here to wrap this baby up. As always, we want to thank you guys for watching the reload and staying here and watching it with us. As always, I'm Josh Engel, also known as AnsoPro, signing off.
Along with Mike Bisson, a.k.a. Mohawk Mike, as always, thanking you for supporting esports, whatever capacity you do, as well as thank you for considering.